Hello and welcome back to the Stacey West YouTube channel, and today you've got 2 for the price of 1. So for the second video of the day, talking all about one of our new faces, I am joined by Louis. So Louis, we're here today to talk about Jack Burroughs. Obviously you are a Coventry City fan, Coventry City season ticket holder.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Jack?
Yeah, so Jack is a player that, obviously come through our academy. I think he's been there, he and his brother who's just left, just signed for a National League side, I think. Been in our academy for as long as I can remember. He's a very versatile player. Played for the first team, I think, around 20 times. So he's not someone we've massively seen loads of because his cameos have been short. But I think I think the Cov fans have been relatively impressed. I think the average opinion of a Cov fan would be that he is a decent prospect. And I think the right thing for him is just to go and get some minutes at the minute.
That's really, really kind of good to know, and hopefully we can help facilitate that from our side of you, just to support it with you guys. And again, as far as we're concerned, we've had some really good loans in the past, as you know. Obviously we've got the headline ones of your Brennan Johnsons and such, but it helps forge those connections between clubs like ourselves and clubs like you.
Definitely, yeah, no, that's big for us. We've not really developed too many of those relationships at sort of like League One, League Two level, which is obviously something that if that can come to fruition with Lincoln, that's great. But tends to be sort of like the Nuneaton Borough, local sides to us. Yeah. Often teams get that. But no, it's great. I think he's kind of a caliber of academy player for us that it's just kind of a bit of limbo at the minute, because is he good enough to play in the Championship week in, week out? Yeah. I don't necessarily know. He's not massively experienced, so it's probably the right move for him. Two decent loan spells, one with Ross County, one with Gloucester before that. So I think it's the right move, really. We've got a lot of depth in the right wing back position now. We've just spent £3.5 million on a Dutch right wing back, which is still crazy to get our heads around because we've had no money for years. And got a couple of another youngster who can play there, and a Japanese international who can play there as well. So I think it's the right move for every party, really. Hopefully he can break into Lincoln's side.
Oh, well, that's obviously, I very much hope so as well. Yeah. So in terms of a profile of player, I've got down, obviously we know he's going to be a wing back with the versatility to potentially move into midfield if necessary. Right or left, what's his predominant side? And then
so that's a funny question, because he's just kind of played everywhere. So he's just, maybe this is to his credit, maybe this is to his detriment, but I would say he's very much a utility player. So I would draw a comparison with Jordan Shipley, who's someone you may know, who plays for Shrewsbury now. Me, so kind of just can fill in anywhere. So when Burroughs was coming through, I think when he first kind of broke onto the scene, we understood that he was a midfielder from youth. But he's played games at left back, he's played games at right back, he's played games at right wing back, left wing back, central midfield, centre half. So he's really like the kind of complete defensive / midfield, utility man. So I wouldn't necessarily compare him to a wing back. Obviously Coventry had Norton Cuffey not long after Lincoln did. I don't think he'll be as marauding and attacking as that. But I would say he's probably a steady pair of hands with who can. I'm not knocking his ability going forward, because we've seen him. He's got a great turn of pace, but probably a more steady defensive option who can fill in elsewhere and probably plugs 2 or 3 gaps. If Lincoln get an injury, he can probably fill in.
So it's interesting you sort of say that about him, not necessarily being the most kind of marauding, forward-thinking wing back, because so when I looked at the stats when I was kind of making my notes for this and for the podcast later on, I noticed that in the games last year, obviously it's a very small sample size. It's something like 5 starts or something like that. So wasn't many, and less than 450 minutes. But one thing I did notice was that he actually had more touches in the attacking third than defensive third. The mid third was where he had the most amount. But he had more touches in the attacking than the defensive. And I was kind of wondering whether that was about him as a player or that was just situational in those particular games. Obviously, I'm not too sure exactly which games it was that he played, but whether it was purely because of the games he was in at the time.
Yeah, I would imagine that's our system. Relies heavily on wing backs getting forward, and that's been a weakness. And that's again where Coventry have addressed that, as I alluded to with bringing the wing backs in. I would say that's probably situation. Like I said, he's got a great turn of pace. He was probably in those games brought on quite late to kind of push high up the pitch when you just need sort of a change in that position. But maybe that's me getting it wrong. I hadn't quite looked at the stats in that much detail, so I think he's clearly very versatile. I like hold my hands up. I wasn't knocking his ability going forward. It's just
no.
someone that has played in the back line, so we'll see what's to come. I hope he gets forward and gets the assists and the goals for Lincoln.
I think it's really interesting because if he has got the versatility, obviously, that you're talking about, and that's a really positive thing for us because we've spoken at length about kind of squad depth, and in this summer we've brought in 6 permanent signings. It looked like we were really strong on squad depth, and there was a couple of positions that we were slightly weaker. One of them was our wing backs, and the other one is another centre half. And on last Saturday, our left wing back couldn't start the game because of a slight knock or illness. There was something anyway that made him. So then we already had to start having somebody slightly out of position in the very first game. So having somebody like Jack in who can really kind of facilitate any of those positions is going to be it's just going to be crucial for us going into any games, especially when you're Saturday, Tuesday every week, which it seems like you are at this time of the season. So it's ultimately, even if he isn't a first team starter come January or whatever, but he'll have still gotten so many minutes for us, purely being able to facilitate those positions.
I think that's why it's probably the perfect move because, like you say, he can fill in at left wing back.
Yeah,
he can fill in at centre half in a 3 we've seen him play. He can fill in central midfield, and probably is now a natural right wing back. So I think that just makes perfect sense. He's not featured too heavily in our first team. He's kind of been around the bench. But obviously, he's got good pedigree playing for Scotland. 7 appearances for their 19, 7 appearances for their 21. So clearly is a player who's really highly rated. At 22, I think just the best thing for him is just go and play. So hopefully that's what he'll get at Lincoln.
Well, I think it's obvious that Coventry rate him, considering the fact that he got a new long-term deal just at the start of the summer, wasn't it? So there's clearly the room for progression there. Whether that's even just to get a transfer market value out of him this time next summer. Let's say you maybe move up or whatever happens to you as a club, but you can then just move him on. Yeah, it's showing that you've got faith in the fact that he'll be able to build up a good old bit of transfer value. So one thing I wanted to pick up on was obviously you mentioned a couple of his loans, Gloucester and Ross County. I'm just picking up on the Ross County one. So he went to Ross County for a full season, which was the season before last, and then obviously he came back, and I mean, I don't know, from the outside looking in, I would assume that the general consensus was that he would likely go out again because he didn't exactly get quite as many minutes for Ross County as I'm sure he'd have hoped. Was he kept in and around the squad to hope that playing with the first team would progress him, or was it purely the fact that you needed him for squad depth?
I think, you kind of have your 18-man squad or whatever, we've got 9 teams now, but you had your 7 on the bench, and often teams would bring 1 extra man to fill in if somebody got injured on the bench. Kind of became Burroughs quite a bit.
Okay,
he was just very much the fringe man of the bridge between the first team and the youth team, I suppose. Yeah. So I think it was probably more keeping him around is a good thing at that point for Coventry because if you get an injury at centre half, he can come in and help out there. If you get an injury at left wing back, right wing back, as we said, again, the key takeaway I would say is that he is very versatile and a utility man. So I think it was more just that I would have expected that he would have gone back out on loan. It's not a surprise that he's gone on loan now. So yeah, that I think it makes sense.
That's the thing. Like you've already said it. It's very much a good move for all parties. It seems like a good move from our end as well as your end, and hopefully for the player himself, because I think that's the big thing. Yeah. So kind of looking a little bit more broadly then, Coventry, what your kind of hopes for this season? Obviously, you had a pretty mad season last season, starting the season how it did, and I remember last season I was trying to get to one of your games in August, and it was Rotherham at home, and ended up getting called off that morning.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody knows the situation. But then to finish it on such a high, but then a low, you must be knackered for the new season.
It's just supporting Coventry is just like that. It feels at the minute.
Yeah.
I know obviously every club's going to say that, but ups and downs. We played a home game last season at Burton Albion in the Carabao Cup. I've seen Coventry play at St Andrews. I've seen Coventry play at Highfield Road. The Rico. I didn't go to Northampton, but we played there, and I've seen us play at Burton. So, it's turmoil, but we've got new owners, and it really, really seems to have turned around. That was kind of coincided with when the team picked up in form in January last season. It was mental. Mark Robbins is just a miracle worker. He's so underrated. It's just we play a brilliant brand of football, and so is Adi Vivash's assistant manager. A superb coach with great pedigree from Chelsea in their youth systems. So it's been mental, really. I started going consistently when we were playing against Lincoln a lot. 17-18 season when we were in League Two, and since then it's just been a crazy ride. So going into this season, hopefully we can replicate last season, getting into the playoffs. It's going to be difficult. We've lost Gyökeres. If we lose Hamer, he's just by far and large the best player I've ever seen play for Coventry. He is unbelievable. If we lose him, then I think it'll be difficult. I still think we've, made a lot of good additions, so I'd hope we'd be up there. But if we manage to keep him, I would like to think we can challenge at the right end of the table in the playoffs again. So it's very exciting.
I've got to be honest. I mean, on a little bit of a tangent, I have got to very much rate your Gyökeres replacement in Ellis Sims. Yes. I think that's a really shrewd transfer from you guys.
Yeah, well, interestingly, I actually don't think Sims is the direct Gyökeres replacement, which we've just signed Haji Wright, who is a US international.
Oh, yes, from Antalyaspor. Yes.
£7 million we paid for him. So
yeah.
Crazy to get our head around because, we've never paid that much for a player transfer fee. So Sims is a great addition on paper. The first two games he hasn't really ticked for him, but anybody who's worried about that, I think he's overreacting. It's just he's clear. He's got a clear record. He's a proven player at Championship level. He's a proven player in Scotland. He's a proven player in League One. So and all at 22. So yeah, really, really happy with that addition. And Haji Wright looks like a very exciting player as well. He's more the Gyökeres mold in terms of strong runner on the ball. But I think, the pair of them, if they could both contribute 50 or 10 to 20 goals each or more, amazing. Perfect.
I guess that's, I think you're, I'm going to say everybody would like that to happen for their strikers. Whether it actually does or not, who knows? It's yet to be seen. But no, I definitely, wish as well. The stats that was bounded around Lincoln fans the whole week into the lead up of you versus Luton in that final was the fact that we finished on the same amount of points back in the 17-18 season. Yeah. So for you then to have been one game away from the Prem and, you're only one season away from it now, it shows a lot of where you've been. And like I say, it's not exactly just been one smooth, straight trajectory 4 years, has it?
Not at all.
Certainly been an interesting few years. So, for those that are watching, we're just going to quickly turn to whenever I record a YouTube video like this and we have a guest on the channel, I always sort of ask them, what's your podcast, what's your Twitter, so that we can plug it out. Now, you've got a bit of an interesting one, haven't you, Louis? So, yours is your company.
Yes.
Which is Surprise Shirts. You want to just tell everyone a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're a family business. We're based in Lincolnshire. We're in Horncastle. And we're a family business selling mystery football shirts. So essentially, the concept is you buy a box from us, you tell us your size and any teams to avoid rather than the teams you want, and we send you a crazy football shirt from anywhere around the world. It won't be English. It won't be from your home country. It'll be something really exciting. So we've got stock from the Kosovan 2nd Division to the 4th Division in Thailand, really, really unique, cool, crazy designs. Perfect gift for people, football fans, or the perfect way to grow your football shirt collection.
I've got to be honest, I got one myself a couple of years back from yourselves, and it was Terrantia, the team was called, 3rd tier of Italian football. Yeah. The shirt was an interesting shirt. but my God, did it make a good Football Manager save? So that is also a very good reason to pick up one of the shirts.
Well, you make a great point, because we actually sell a Football Manager mystery box. So rather than, obviously, some of the teams in the standard mystery box aren't in Football Manager because they're crazy and even more random. I know FM covers a load of leagues, but we do have a box that is specifically for FM. So if you buy that box, you'll be guaranteed to get a team in FM23 in the base PC version of the game. And we'll be carrying that on for FM24 in November as well.
Brilliant. Well, there you are, everybody. If that's not another reason to head over and check out surprise shirts, then I don't know what is, because we all love Football Manager. All right. Well then, Louis, thank you very much for your incredible insight on Jack Burroughs. Hopefully he can come back to you next season twice the player he already is, by the sounds of it.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, like I say, hopefully it really can be positive for all parties, as we hope. So thank you very much, and good luck for the whole season.
Thank you. Good luck to you guys too. And thanks for having me on. And just to get the website in, it's www.surpriseshirts.co.uk. Thank you.
You see, you can't miss out on a cheeky little plug like that. Brilliant. Cheers. Thanks very much, and up the Imps.